And Ben, let's bring you in because propaganda, censorship, that is unfolding very, very quickly in UK.
Indeed it is, yes. Hello, everybody. And we're going to head over to Demos, the think tank, led by Polly Curtis, the chief executive. And we've actually had some messages over the past few weeks asking why we cover Demos so much. Hopefully this will shed some light on that. And ultimately it's because they are playmaking the censorship industrial complex here in the UK. Let's hear now from Polly Curtis about the launch of the Epistemic Security Network.
So I'm your chair tonight, and tonight we are launching a new network, the Epistemic Security Network. And the aim of this network is to provide a home for the collective efforts to protect democracy by cleaning up our information supply chains. Together, we hope this network, spanning civil society, politics and government, will mobilise evidence and design strategies to protect our democratic supply chains and our future, really. We aim for this network to be a platform for everyone in this room to use, to come together, to find the connections, to find the ideas, and to progress this agenda together. And we have the most, before I even get to the panel, we have the most extraordinary group of people here. I know every one of you in the audience and where you're from, and you really bring such expertise to this conversation. We're very keen that you're part of this conversation going forward.
Well, there we have it, Ben. Information supply chains. These people are desperate because they know the lid's coming off what they're doing, and anybody who's working for that is a direct threat to them. But that's quite a statement, isn't it? Information supply chain.
It is, yes, absolutely. It comes from this report that we talked about earlier in the year, this Demos report, Epistemic Security 2029. It's all focused on the 29 next general election, fortifying the UK's information supply chain. And they define epistemic security as keeping our knowledge safe.
Their knowledge.
Well, quite, exactly. The official narrative, ultimately, and as we've just heard, the official narrative was telling us that there was no issue with grooming gangs across the north of England. It turns out there was an issue with grooming gangs across the north of England, but apparently these people are the people who should be protecting knowledge and telling us what isn't true. Who's in the network? Wow, right? She said, look at the people who are in the room. I'll pick a few names out. Hope Not Hate. Full Fact, who we've spoken about recently. They would essentially, they've got a guy in there running Ofsted at the moment. DCMS are in the room. So you've got civil service and politicians, civil society foundations like the Joe Cox Foundation, Public Interest News Foundation, who I've spoken about previously, which is run by a guy that was exec director of the Fabian Society. Polly Curtis is on the board there. Ofcom. Yeah, the Arbiters of Truth, the British Library, there's a few people there from the library system. Diane, we'll have to talk about that later. The Royal Society, because they have to own science, right? And they actually talk about that in the video. You should go and watch the whole thing, by the way. I'll provide a link. It's about 1 hour and 20 minutes. Highly recommend it, right? So an extremely powerful network. What are they there to do? They're there to protect liberal democracy. And as I define that, regular viewers will know, is we can do whatever we want if enough people go along with it. And they're also extremely concerned about defending the country against populism. This term has been used quite a bit in recently, and also in that video, which you can go and watch. And the BBC defines this as the idea that society is separated into two groups at odds with one another, the pure people and the corrupt elite. And I think the corrupt elite were probably in that room at Demos last week. And what were they saying up on stage? So 3 panellists. We'll just give you a quick glimpse into the discussion. So this is Sir John Whittingdale, Conservative MP from Malden since 1992, formerly at DCMS. He actually created the BBC Local Democracy Reporter Scheme. He was happy to let us know. And he says one of the challenges is striking the balance between free speech and disinformation. And obviously, people like him get to decide that. Who else was there? Gina Neff from Cambridge University. She essentially saying that we can't media literacy our way out of this. The plebs are revolting, Brian. The narrative is falling to pieces.
And they're very worried.
They're very worried.
If the audience wants good news, the good news is you can see the narrative of this team coming apart. People are always saying to us, what's the good news? Well, the good news is you can see they're having trouble. What are they having trouble countering? The truth, basically.
Yes.
Facts and the truth.
Exactly. So she says we can't media literacy our way out of the problem. The guy at the BBC on the end there, he actually thinks that you can. This is Ian Bundred, Director of Public Policy at the BBC, who has just arrived there from YouTube. He's been at YouTube for 5 years, so he probably booted us off YouTube, actually. That might have been him. And he said, can we work on a disinformation GCSE? Right, he actually wants to manipulate the education system, and actually, he revealed in this presentation that the BBC News Round, their kind of kids news program, is actually shown to 3 million young people in their classroom every week. At the moment, I had no idea they were doing that. It didn't used to happen when I was at school. So anyway, who's behind this? Two crucial figures. So this guy, William Perrin, who actually funded the original Demos report, former top policy advisor to Blair, instrumental in creating Ofcom, actually received an OBE for his work on the Online Safety Act, also is married into the Sainsbury's family, interestingly, and he's also funding a lot of other things as well. This guy's fascinating, including the Future Governance Forum. Go and check that out. We'll talk about it more over the next couple of weeks. And then finally, also in the mix, funding this network is the Quadrature Climate Foundation, who are the people that bunged £4 million to Labour just ahead of the general election last year, are also funding the retraining of the UK civil service via a political foundation and have shelled over $1 billion into 187 organisations in 17 countries. These are the people that are controlling what isn't true in the UK right now.
Controlling the narrative. So while people get heavily focused on what's happening in the Middle East or Ukraine, inside UK, this society is being taken apart, it's being controlled, and free speech is being wiped out by these teams. And of course, they can only do it with the help of vast amounts of money. So the banking system's got to be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But we are going to say, whatever you're looking at worldwide, whatever you're worried about, stay focused on what's actually eating away at the constitutional structure of UK.